Welcome back. Well, yes, indeed, we're still focusing on the scenario with the budget. They've used different adjectives, but we've got the president of National Youth Council. He joins us from our studios in Abuja. We can go to him at Ikenga Ugochinyere to also give his comments on his impression of the 2016 budget. What do you think of this? Do you think that the way it's going, something is really wrong with this 2016 budget?
Well, there's issues with the 2016 budget, but one thing I want to say first is that there have been a lot of argument on the powers of the Parliament as it has to do with appropriation. But when I looked at the provisions of Section 4, Section 80, and Section 81, and also 59 of the 1999 Constitution, it was very clear. It gave the Parliament exclusive power that no amount of money can be taken out from the Federation account except as decided by the Parliament. And even when they make this appropriation, even if the President chooses not to sign, they still have veto power under Section 59 to veto it and make it law. What the President sends to the Parliament is a mere budget estimate of expenditure and revenues. And it is the duty of the Parliament to now look at it and reflect it to reflect the interests of Nigerians. And if you look at America, where they have the Congress Budget Act of 1974, once the President sends the budget, the Congress committee, both in the House and in the Congress, sit, and they have what they call markup sessions. They call public hearings, people make input, and then they bring it back and then they pass it. And if you also look at the constituency development funds of countries like Malaysia, India, for instance, in India, parliamentarians have projects they influence in the budget to the tune of $1.5 million. If you also look at Kenya, 2.5% of the annual budget goes to constituency development fund. In Malaysia, every lawmaker influence project to the tune of $600,000.
So your point is...
Yes. Yep. So the point is, first of all, I have to deal with this issue of so much argument about whether the Parliament actually has powers to tinker with budget whenever it is sent to them by the executive. Even recently, this year...
The question is, what is tinkering? In this particular instance, what will we refer to as tinkering?
So that's what I'm trying to say, that in terms of legislative process, there's nothing like even what they call now padding, or because the budget comes to the Parliament. They are the ones that are supposed to work on it. So whether you're calling it padding or calling it tinkering, these things to me are all about mischief. They have the full powers to look at it.
Because this controversy, we must bear in mind, has not come from the executive. There was that initial controversy between the executive and the legislature. But now this new problem has sprung up within the National Assembly itself, and you hear fellow members accusing themselves of having padded the budget or mutilated the budget, as it were.
That brings me to the issue of Honorable Jibrin. If you remember when this issue first came up, if you remember his interview to Daily Trust, where they asked him, did he influence any project for his constituency in the budget? He said yes, that he has to equally protect the interests of his people. If there is anybody who has tampered with that budget or who has put in items that he was not supposed to put in, you have to go and look at the projects that have been cited in Bebeji constituency. You see a situation whereby even one particular item was put in two times. You see the Bebeji 8 Dam, which has 270 million. You see it under the SJ Forvis, 70 million. You go under the Ministry of Water Resources. You see rural roads for Bebeji constituency, totaling almost 4.1 billion put in for Bebeji constituency by Honorable Jibrin. So when he was putting this particular issue, even also you saw what happened in Katsina, where he equally said he influenced projects in Daura, which the president and the lawmaker in Daura never even asked for. And I want to draw your attention to something that has been happening over time. It's in most times, because of maybe the way he has been involved in appropriation and finance, that maybe certain things he has been...
Before we jump to Honorable, you were talking about, you were talking about how members of Parliament have, rights to influence projects to their own constituencies, and how they have the right to tinker with the budget, as it were. So we're asking, what exactly do you think is bringing up this new controversy, especially among National Assembly members?
No, I think the person that brought the allegation is being mischievous. Probably because the way he handled the appropriation, there was disaffection for his members. If you watch proceedings and see them shutting him down whenever he wants to talk, they feel he has smarted his honorable colleague member by putting items that they were not even aware of. And the Parliament felt, okay, because of the controversy associated with this, they have to let it go. And because they have let him out of the job, he gets so angry and starts to lay allegations of corruption against the Parliament, allegations he cannot substantiate. And today, I'll give you one document, you go and study.
Just a moment, Suleiman has a question for you. Excuse me.
Mr. Ugochinyere, the thing here is we have two houses, so we practice a bicameral legislature. So if the House has an issue with this budget, whether it is an insertion, a padding, or mutilation, should we also be asking the Senate if they saw anything wrong with it?
First of all, you have to first of all understand that there's nothing wrong at what happened at the level of the House of Rep, except the abuse of the appropriation power by Honorable Jibrin. And because of that abuse, he is trying to now defend himself, and he feels the best way to do that is to level allegation against principal officer, excluding the House leader, Bajamia, which even seems very suspicious. And also, you need to understand that what the Parliament did, as it has to do influencing project for their constituency, the question you first ask, is it legal, is it within constitutional framework? It is 100% legal, and it is equally done internationally as well. Now, if he says there are some items that were suspicious, we need to have to start looking at how 4.1 billion project ended up in Bebeji constituency alone. And also, not only that, like I was saying before, there is something that happened in National Commission for Refugees and Internally Displaced, where in one single day, contract totaling $500 million was awarded to 2 companies. And this contract was copied to Honorable Jibrin. So if he's talking about, look at it, I'll give it to you. This is awarded in one single day and copied to Honorable Jibrin. Contract for supply of sewing machine, contract for supply of golf car by the National Commission for Refugee and Internally Displaced Persons. These are people who are supposed to help the internally displaced people in Boko Haram reading areas in Northeast. And in one single day, over $500 million was awarded and copied to Jibrin. I have not even said anything about it. And this is how maybe he thought other people in the Parliament are abusing the constituency project. So if there's anybody who is abusing the constituency project, it is him.
Mr. Ugochinyere, I'm going to ask you to hold your thoughts. We're taking a break on Sunrise Daily. We'll be back shortly. You join us again.
Just before the break, Mr. Ugochinyere, I asked you a question about the bicameral legislation we practice, and well, that hasn't answered the question. By the way, Channel Television will not allow anyone to come on live to malign anyone's personality, because the issues are not what you've stated about Honorable Jibrin, but we want you to give answers to some of the issues we raised in concerning the budget and allegation of padding. So perhaps tell us more on this. We have a two-system in our legislative legislative system. There is the Senate and there is the House of Representatives, and all of them go through the budget before it gets back to the executive arm. We asking the question, if we are saying now, by most House members, they all agree that there's an issue with this budget, should we also be asking the Senate if they did see anything wrong at that time, also with the 2016 budget?
You know, the budget is a very voluminous document. At the level of the Senate, where you have Senator Danju Magoje, the chairman of appropriation, who is more matured and more understanding, you can see that the Senate worked as a team. There was no allegation or counter-allegation. They looked at these items, and then whatever that came from the House of Rep was brought in by Jibrin, who is the chairman of appropriation. And you saw also there was allegations by their members that they were not aware of what he did and had some of these items that came up. So at the end of the day, from the angle of the Senate, what the Senate did was align with the House of Rep. But most times you may not know when some of these items are touched. So if he decides to change some of these items or remove that of the project that's supposed to go to constituency of his colleagues, you will not know, because it's a very big document that is almost over 5,000 pages. So I don't think there's any issue with the budget apart from what happened at the level of Jibrin's appropriation.
Do you believe in the word padding?
100% I don't believe in it, because why I don't believe in it? Going by the provision of Section 80 of the 1999 Constitution that said the Parliament has the exclusive power to make appropriation for any money that will go from the Federation account. And also, the Constitution was clear that what the President is sending to them is budget and expenditure and revenue estimates. And if you also look at other countries that also have this kind of presidential system.
Hold on, you don't believe in the word padding?
I don't, because
the Honourable just talked about, Honourable Leo Ogo, Minority Leader, talked about mutilation. Do you think that there could be budget mutilation?
It depends on at what stage. If it is at the time the Parliament is working on this, whether they remove some items or they reduce the revenues or increase the revenues, these are within their constitutional powers. But if at the end of the day, when budget is passed and the President assents to it and somebody touches it, that becomes a criminal offense. But at the level they are, it is pure legislative process, and there's nothing wrong in what they do in arriving at a budget that will help in advancing the lives of every Nigerian.
So you don't see that, is there any need for controversy here?
I don't think there's controversy, because what we are discussing is something that is 100% within the domain of the parliament at that particular moment is given to them. And if you see the controversy in Florida, when the governor said he will not sign the $300 million the parliamentarians put in the budget, it was a big argument. They even wanted to veto him, because these people represent their constituency. And the essence of this constituency development fund is to ensure there's harmonious relationship between parliamentarians and their people, and to bring projects to those local areas that some of these projects will not have ordinarily come to them.
Ikenga Ugochinyere, I have to thank you for coming on the program. He's the president of the National Youth Council, I believe, National Youth Council, correct on that one. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Well, Sunrise Daily will be back in a moment. Do join us again.
Thank you.